Rogers TV.
Good evening and welcome back to another episode of West Talk. We're feeling fun. We're going to have some fun today on this episode. It's going to be all about games, game shows, video games, all that good stuff. But before we get into it, I just wanted to let you know about the week that I've had over at the East Coast Music Awards in St. John's, where I was very fortunate to go over as a delegate and have the opportunity to hear the top musical artists in Eastern Canada. And let me tell you, what an impressive showing. Also, I got the chance to chop it up a little bit with some of the industry folks who are behind a lot of Eastern Canada's biggest festivals. So it was really exciting to get some of those insights. And let me tell you, Western Newfoundland, I've never been more inspired to produce for you the best festival that the city's ever seen. And so give me a year and stay tuned. There's gonna be some exciting stuff coming up. Now, speaking of events, we're going to jump right in with our first guest who's joining us online from Ontario, and I'm very excited about this one because you're going to have a chance to come on out and participate in a live game show coming up next week, and not just any game show. This is not your normal trivia night out, folks. We have coming to Newfoundland Canada's top quizmaster, and you might know him as the Cash Cab guy, but please welcome to West Talk for his debut, Mr. Adam Groh. Adam, are you with us?
Yes. I'm not giving you a year, Dustin. I'm not giving you a year. I'm giving you less than about a week.
Give me a week. Give me 2 weeks because we got to take care of you first. Yeah. Adam, thank you so much for joining me. We're really excited to talk about the Adam Groh Quiz Show, which is going to be making its way across Newfoundland, starting out next week. Very, very exciting. But if you don't mind, before we jump into that, I just have some burning questions for the Cash Cab guy, basically.
Oh, I love it. Anytime. Throw them at me. Let's go.
Yeah, so, not those types of questions, but, growing up here in Newfoundland, basically everybody who had basic cable had Discovery Channel and Game Show Network and things like that. And so Cash Cab was a very popular show here in Newfoundland. It was actually one of my favorite shows, and my family and I really enjoyed sitting around the TV at night and watching it together. But I have to just want to take it back to sort of your origin. Like, can you please tell us how you became the Cash Cab guy and what led to you for the first time quizzing people in a cab?
Well, first of all, I really love hearing that because it's really important to me that after so many years of making Cash Cab, and we've made 9 seasons now, that people are still watching it in repeats and the new episodes. We hope to be making more, and it's been really special for me to continue to have the relationship with Canadian fans and viewers across the country when I tour and when I do corporate gigs. So coming back to Newfoundland for the first time in a long time, I've only been to St. John's. I've never been to Brook. I've never been to Falls-Windsor. So I'm really looking forward to seeing part of Newfoundland and performing and being with Canadians where they live, which is a real treat for Canadian performers, especially comedians who, really get an immediate response from our audiences. So Cash Cab for me started after I'd been a headline stand-up comedian for over a decade. So I'd been performing in comedy clubs and theaters and touring already and corporate gigs. And, when you're in this business in Canada, I mean, it's anywhere around the world, but especially in Canada, you're always looking to, what else can you be doing? So I'm working in radio again now. I do TV, I do live. You got to do everything. And so Cash Cab was like the hundreds of other auditions that I've seen over my career. It was one of obviously the more interesting ones. And when the audition came through, it was like any other casting call. If you're unfamiliar with how people get cast for film and TV roles, including game shows like Cash Cab, it's called a breakdown goes out, and it's sent to agents across the country, and agents and managers submit the people that they think would be appropriate. So my manager called me up, and it's kind of interesting to me because when he called me up with this thing called Cash Cab, nobody had seen it in Canada before. And back then, and this is a long time ago now, it's been many years, it's a franchise show. this show is made in over 40 different countries, or at some point in time it has been. Canada's one of the, I think we're the second longest running version of Cash Cab, so I'm really proud of that. But nobody had seen it. I had never heard of it. And so at the same time, I don't know if you also remember this show, there's another show called Last Comic Standing. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
And so that show was at the same time, was my manager was like, there's these two shows. I think you'd be great for both of them. You want to audition for this? And to be honest with you, I liked watching Last Comic Standing, but it was not my vibe. You're a new dad, right? You've got a growing family. I had no interest at that time. I had young kids. I had no interest in living at the time. Last Comic Standing was like Big Brother. It was like they all live in a mansion and they're all like spitting facts at each other and, you know, trying to be funny. And I said, I have no patience for that. And I would be horrible. I would be the worst. It would not be so I didn't even throw my hat in the ring for Last Comic Standing, although I get it. And it did launch the career of a lot of Canadian comedians. And eventually they took it out of the mansion. And so anyway, the other one at the same time was Cash Cab. And they said, you know, so what you're doing with Cash Cab is you're going to be driving around in a minivan with the producer and the director of the show, and you're asking trivia questions. I'm like, that is so cool. What a great idea. And I wasn't a licensed taxi driver at the time, but they said, you know, just heads up, if this moves forward, you're going to have to think about that, you know, and, you know, more than think about, you're going to have to get licensed. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Well, one step at a time. Let's just take it easy. And, you know, as a radio guy and a comedian, you're always looking for nuggets of facts and fun things to talk about. So it wasn't like trivia was not on my radar, but I certainly didn't have a trivia show or anything like that. I certainly loved fun facts and stuff like that. But I just remember very distinctly the first audition. You know, when you get an audition, even with something like a game show, you get what's called the sides, the script. And so they said, you know, memorize a little bit of like how the show will open, and then here's the questions that all of the people auditioning for the show are getting. So try to memorize these so that you can drive and ask the questions that you're driving around. So by the time I went for my first audition, I met them in a grocery store parking lot. I hop into the minivan. It was not the Cash Cab yet. It was just a regular minivan. Producer and director in the back. There's a cameraman sitting in the passenger seat. And it was just very like, okay, let's go. And by the time I auditioned, the producer and the director had seen so many people. They were so bored of the scripted questions. They said, we can't even hear those again. I'm sorry, we can't even hear those again. Just here's a box of Trivial Pursuit. Just pull out a couple of things and drive safely. And, you know, we're driving very safely, very slowly. And I was like, you know, and when you're auditioning, right, you don't say no, you say no problem. But I'm like, I took the time to memorize this just like everybody else. And now I got to fly by the seat of my pants. But I think that ended up really helping me, because I don't think they were trying to pull a fast one, but they were so bored. And then I was able to just adjust to that and go with the flow and ask them questions. They obviously had a little bit more fun with me because now the questions were fresh, right? And they were really trying to answer them. And then I think the other thing, and you know this too, Dustin, is that as a family man, I had 3 young kids at that time. I still do. They're all grown up now. But I was very, very skilled at driving around and entertaining people in the back, you know, handing back snacks, entertaining them, long road trips.
Driving around half distracted.
Right, yeah. So I honestly believe that was the clincher for me.
After so many seasons, how do you keep it mysterious? Do people just recognize you straight away and the jig is up? And is it a lot different than it was in the early days? It must have been really exciting in the early days when they definitely, they didn't recognize you as much and you could really pull this surprise on them. So can you speak to that a little bit?
It is really a sweet moment when you surprise people completely and they're like, I just love those moments. And it absolutely became harder and harder to fool people. I mean, right away, it doesn't look like a regular taxi, a regular van cab. A little bit more now because taxis are, dressed up a little bit. They might have a little bit of more value add in the cabs. But, back in the day, it was a pretty unusual cab. And even from a production standpoint, we're driving around with a $250,000 television studio rigged up in the cab. There's lights, there's cameras. And when we started, the HD cameras on Flash Media, we were the first in Canada to use this brand new technology, which is now across the board. The cameras were still about that big, so they're parked and we tried to disguise them as best we could. Now, as the seasons progressed, the technology got better, so it was, the cameras got smaller and smaller, we're able to hide them. But if you're hailing a cab and you're hopping in really quickly and you're not really thinking about it, you kind of just hop in. And I only need, 15, 20 seconds to catch that awesome surprise, right? Because people hop in and are like, yeah, take me over here. And I'm like, yeah, where are you? And then they're like, wait. And I'm like, boom. And I have a little computer beside me that I activate the lights and the sound. And they're like, what's going on? And so that moment doesn't require like a 3-minute conversation. And so, in Canada especially, I knew it was going to be a number of seasons. It took about, I'd say 3 or 4 seasons of it being on the air for us to start to really notice a big difference in not being able to surprise people as often as we did at the beginning. So there was some people who were getting in, who were like, honestly moved to tears of joy because they grew up watching the show. And then once in a while, and I don't mind this at all because this is the world we live in, once in a while there is somebody who's like, nope, still have no idea what's going on. What, it's like, all right, we'll work with that. And I love those moments. I like the wide range. I love people that are just hyped up and it's like, it's like a stagette in the cash cab. And I like people who are like, all right, I'll do it. It's like, I love the wide range of Canadians that get in and
Yeah.
that's what I think people really love about it. Sure, they love the trivia. Sure, they love the randomness and the stakes, but I think what really is the big sell point of Cash Cab, all after 9 seasons and almost 20 years in repeats, and hopefully some new episodes coming up in the year ahead, is the personalities of Canadians and how wide-ranging they are. And it's true, we've only been in Toronto and in Vancouver for 1 season. But you have to understand, it's not like out of a lack of desire to take the cab into other countries. And that's why I'm really happy with the Adam Grow Quiz Show, where I'm bringing stand-up and trivia together. I'm able to go because it's not reliant on the television production and moving the cab around. But even the logistics of this is how it works. To be a licensed taxi driver, to do it in Vancouver, for instance, I had to surrender my Ontario driver's license, get a special class of BC driver's license, train in Vancouver to be a cab driver for the 1 summer we were there, and then do it all again when I came back to Toronto or Toronto. And so, there's that in terms of, although I do remember in St. John's, I would take cabs around and the cabbies were like, oh, bye, I love you. And, it's like, you could do it here. You don't have to do anything to be a cabbie here. Just go down to the office. You're a cabbie. It's like nothing to be a cab driver. Not that I'm taking anything away from their skill, but it is very different.
Yeah, well, actually, Adam, I'll jump in and have you know that here in Corner Brook, there is an imitation cash cab. And I was going to keep it as a secret and potentially pick you up in the airport in it, but I don't think it's going to happen. But there is a cab in Corner Brook that is decked out with Christmas lights, and everybody lovingly calls it the Cash Cab. But there's no quizzes in that one. Adam, in the final moments of our interview here together, I would love to just let you tee up the quiz show. So everybody's familiar now with the Cash Cab, but paint a picture about the Adam Grow Quiz Show and what people can expect when they come out to take part in this event.
Well, I think one of the first things I say is, a la Cash Cab, it's meant to be fun. I'm coming to your community to have a fun night of comedy and trivia with you. And I will say that really quickly, it's not like going to a pub trivia night, which are great and a lot of fun. I attend those myself. It's not like watching people on stage play Trivial Pursuit or play trivia with me. My games are designed to be very dynamic. So volunteers from the audience who want to try to win some cash out of my pocket live on stage after I've done a little stand-up, we've had some fun. I bring my act to your community. But the volunteers who come up on stage, not only am I not making fun of them, I'm having fun with them, but in order for them to prove their knowledge, I'm going to get them to do fun stuff. Like they're going to have to dance and pose and sing and it's very engaging for the whole audience. And it's also interactive, so there's a little bit of interactive trivia that you play on your phone. I've got gamification. So you have a chance to win prizes from the comfort of your own seat. You have a chance to win cash prizes by volunteering on stage after I've done some stand-up. And then even after the show, if you're shy, you don't want to be a part of the show, or you don't hit the leaderboard or whatever, I usually mingle afterwards with some rapid-fire trivia, so you get a chance to win a couple of bucks from the Cash Cab guy, photo op. So the whole experience with the Adam Grow Quiz Show is stand-up comedy, trivia, but the quiz show portion is high energy, lots of fun, and I want people to come out and have a good time. That's what we need right now.
Absolutely incredible. I am very excited to bring you into Newfoundland and greet you. Hopefully I don't have an emotional moment when you get in the vehicle with me next week. I might. And tickets are on sale right now. There's some left for shows in Corner Brook, May 21st, Grand Falls-Windsor on the 22nd, and St. John's on the 23rd. Tickettide.ca. And I know you are as excited to get back to Newfoundland as Newfoundland is to see you. So thank you so much, my friend, and can't wait to see your quiz show next week.
See you soon.
And that was the Cash Cab guy, Adam Groh. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our next guest who's going to be here in studio. Stay tuned. All right, and keeping on with our theme of fun and games of this episode, something a little bit different. A couple of years ago, Corner Brook's closest thing to an arcade opened up in the Valley Mall. Forever Gaming is a really fun spot that offers a gaming experience for people of all ages, all interests, from retro games to today's leading titles. And here to talk about that is the co-owner and my friend Wayne Joyce. Wayne, thanks for coming down, brother.
Congratulations, Justin. Thanks on all your success. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and likewise. I was really excited to talk to you about your about Forever Gaming, and of course, as you know, I was down there a while back, and had a really fun experience. In my case, we rented it out for a private little function, right?
Yeah,
but
right.
For the folks at home, just paint a picture of Forever Gaming, and sort of if they were to walk in the door today, what are they experiencing?
Well, when you come to Forever Gaming today, it's a little bit different than when we had you a couple of years ago.
Right.
We were very heavily like retro based at the time, perhaps a bit nostalgic with like our offerings.
Yep.
And we started even in the beginning, we were doing events before we started the company.
Oh yeah,
And
outside of your location, like you were bringing the games to people?
That's how we began. We would just go rent U-Hauls, pack up like 30, 40, 50 TVs and retro consoles. We'd go to a town hall, Massey Drive, Pasadena, do an event, take some feedback with the kids.
Wow.
And just kind of like, and then save our money, buy some new hardware, buy some TVs, and then we met with, so it was me and Matty Hutto, and my business partner, and then we met with Steve Churchill, and he came into the business, and we kind of like
Phone tech Steve Churchill?
Yeah,
cool.
Phone tech Steve Churchill.
Great guy,
so yeah, absolutely. So we just kind of evolved. We said, it's a huge risk, but let's just see if the people would care about it or not. So we went, we talked to Tammy at the mall, and Tammy Joyce, and she said, it's crazy, let's just try it.
Yeah.
So we went into the mall and we did that, and people really liked it. Mm-hmm. But then we started taking more feedback from families and kids, and we quickly learned that we had to evolve our business. So we had to bring in virtual reality. We had to bring in flight simulators, racing simulators, and many different aspects to the company.
I can kind of see how that probably played out, because like in my house now, I have a 5-year-old, and I loved gaming as a kid, and I was excited about giving him the opportunity to game too. So I wanted him to play the games I played. I got an N64 back, I got a Super Nintendo set up, and my classic, it was all there for him,
Absolutely.
like a tube television and all that, right? And introduced him to it. But at the same time, he has a tablet and a game called Roblox, which is absolute brain rot, in my opinion. But any day of the week, he'd rather go and play this, or like Minecraft or something like that, and really has no interest in the games that I thought were the best games in the world. So I can see how that probably evolved, and how I guess you had to readjust the offerings to meet the current demand.
We have to walk this fine line, so we still need to appeal to older players.
Right.
So
if I walk in there, I want to play that stuff.
So like we have 3 Nintendo 64s on the floor.
Nice.
And like, remember how we never had a copy of GoldenEye when you first came?
Right. Yeah.
Now we have multiple copies of GoldenEye and EverDrive.
Was that because we asked for it?
Yeah.
All right.
Of course.
Nice.
So it's if a player or a kid comes in, you got to have this game. Well, we got to find a way to get the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what's important. So we brought in like arcade machines, pinball machines.
You have pinballs in there?
Yeah, we do now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
know that.
Thanks to one of our volunteers, Ethan Way, actually has been hugely important to us, and he came in and he's just fascinated with it, with like retro technology and arcade machines, and he brought in some of his machines, and we just kind of keep bolting on pieces of what people want.
Yeah.
So I've come to learn like all of that's important too, but we have to provide an Oculus. We have to provide, you talk about Roblox. So like we do birthday parties are a big element for our company.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So we get 20 or 25 kids in there and 10 parents, and the parents will be over playing pinball, arcade cabinets, and different aspects. And course, the kids will break out into a Roblox tournament or Fortnite or many different machines. We have Switches. We have all the obvious things, but then we have hidden gems. It's really about just having the right elements, I suppose, and that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to figure out within the space that we have. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think we have about 75 gaming situations,
Situations,
or whatever.
which-
I don't even know what you would call it.
Yeah,
really,
well,
but it's all-
hundreds or maybe thousands of games, really, because some of the,
well, I mean, just our EverDrive, for instance, on
Yeah.
some of our machines, like the Commodore 64 has 10,000 games.
Really?
So, yeah, on a backbit cartridge.
Yeah.
So the library is far deeper. Like we have, like I think on one of the PlayStations, I have like 500 digital games.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? So there's a
Wow.
lot that you can see.
Yeah.
You can take a game over to the table, throw it into an Xbox.
Right.
But if you go digging, there's
Yeah.
some meat and potatoes there. There's
It's
a bit
all
of depth
there.
to.
Yeah.
I don't know about all of it. You can never have everything, but we try.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like if you don't have something somebody asked for, you're pretty much going to go out and try to find it. At least,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, wow. And so, how does this all work now for the average person? Again, in our case, we contacted you and arranged a private little thing. It was a bachelor party.
Yeah.
But normally, how does this work? Do you pay by the hour? Are there like memberships or? How does
Yeah,
that-
well, it's important. That's a great question, actually. So one thing people should know is that we're open to the public 7 days a week for drop-ins at all times.
Right.
We had to do that to keep the business alive. Even during birthday parties, but fortunately we have so many offerings, and the group size is usually only 30. There's still 40 other places to go, things to try.
Right.
So we have really affordable rates for parties, and they usually happen on weekends, but we take drop-in players 7 days a week. We're open at noon every day.
Cool.
And so anyone can swing by the mall. It's $10 for a pass for an hour, 15 for 2 hours, or 20 for a day pass.
Right on.
Taxes included. So we try to our best to keep the prices affordable, and people really seem to like it.
Are there like longer passes? Or can you get a monthly thing or an annual subscription?
We have a week pass.
Oh yeah.
We've been debating on how to implement the model for a month pass. We
Yeah.
haven't done that yet, but
Yeah.
but we do have some. I mean, we have one guy, Brad Lake, who basically used to live in the arcade, and he basically lives in our place now.
Right.
So I mean, he just loves it. I mean, he comes in and buys like a regular pass, and he's here with us at practically
You mean he
every
used to
day.
live in the
Well,
actual arcade that was like
the
back
Fun
in the
Villa.
day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Fun Villa arcade, which is right across the hallway from
Yeah.
where we are.
Yeah. Wow. Do you have memories of that place yourself?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
actually.
Fun
My first road trip when I was in kindergarten was to come to the Valley Mall and ride the escalator and see all that. And when I got a little bit older, I remember coming in and playing like the Sega holographic games and
Yeah.
Star Wars arcade
Yeah.
and all those crazy things. Yeah.
I have similar memories, man. That was a really special spot. The Valley Mall was basically
Yeah.
Western Newfoundland's amusement park there for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Even the escalator was exciting, so that tells you
Oh,
something.
and you go to Kohl's, there'd be a fortune teller, pay phones, people be in the food court having fun, eating
Yeah.
food, Chinese food,
Man.
hamburgers, man.
Make Valley Mall great again, dude.
Yeah,
This is a good
wow.
start. This is a
Thank
step
you.
in the right direction.
Thank you, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And so what else would you want to say to people who maybe, are closet gamers or, they like to play games at home, but they're not sure about coming out and like gaming socially,
I mean, one thing that really surprises parents is people, kids will come to the game center and they'll play Fortnite or they'll play Roblox, and the parents will say, well, why would you do that here? You can
Right,
play
you have it at home, yeah.
So part of it, I think, is just having a place to go, right? Like our society is just go out, buy your stuff and go home again.
Right.
But I think people just appreciate just coming out, chatting with other gamers,
Yeah.
and you can come here and dig around the library. Perhaps there's a game you might want to buy, and maybe it's something like Game Pass is so fantastic because
Yeah.
you can try something and then you kind of know.
Yeah.
And so Forever Gaming offers a social experience and a bit of that. You can try out some games. You can drop your kids off and go shopping if you want. And
Yeah.
they feel safe there. It's in a wide open environment with security around constantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
it's a nice, safe, bright, open
Yeah.
space, and with really, I think something for almost everybody. Have you had has there over the last 2 years any sort of experiences that stand out to you? Any people who came in that were, got really excited to find a game that they haven't played in a long time, stuff like that?
I have had conversations with people of all ages that really amaze me all the time. And not just me, Maddie, all of us,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like we'll have cruise ships will come in and there'll be like an elderly lady come in and long dress. And next thing you know, she's rocking out on Guitar Hero or drumming on Rock Band and things you wouldn't expect to see. And young children will have conversations, really profound, like really moving conversations.
Yeah.
It's been really, really eye-opening for me. It's really interesting. I thought I knew a lot about games, but they taught me way more about games than I brought to the table, I think.
So it's just becoming this center for all things gaming, a place to learn about games, a place to enjoy games with other people, who love them just as much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah, we love
so
it.
do you still do events now? Like, will you, in certain circumstances, pack stuff up and move it around, or is it just kind of at a point where it's too complicated to disrupt the shop?
It's not that it's complicated. Right now, like Corner Brook is a really small market, and most of our business happens on weekends.
Right.
And we're not really able to afford to hire a big team to go
Yeah.
out and do events as much as we would like to.
Yeah.
But they're still on the table. I mean, Grenfell usually hires us in the fall to go do an event for orientation.
Oh, yeah.
So we still do the events, and if we as we continue to grow, it's something that we don't want to let go of. We
Right.
still want to do them. So we maintain a fleet of consoles and TVs for that purpose.
That
at
are
all
not
times.
like set up right now. They're
We've
ready to go.
We've probably got a couple hundred consoles not in use. Do you know what I mean? Like we just hundreds of TVs. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just absurd.
Dude,
it's just
I-
grown out of control, dude.
I just got the light from the producer, which means it's time to wrap it up. But I have
Okay,
so many.
yeah.
I have so many more questions. Like, I just want to know about how you went and acquired hundreds of consoles. But that'll be a conversation for another time, probably.
Yeah, well, I'm not
And
really
TVs
sure.
too.
Yeah,
Because you got to have these old, like the proper, CRT TVs or whatever
Yeah.
to make the console look good, and you have those. You're
Yeah,
true
well,
to that.
for the retro consoles,
Yeah.
we maintain those.
Yeah.
We buy them.
Yeah.
We make a lot of sacrifices to get these things, and
Yeah,
when
they're hard
deals
to
come
get.
up, we pounce on them. But it's not just, we have 100 flat screens too. Like,
Yeah,
we use
yeah.
the right TVs for the right machines. you
Yeah,
know what I
and
mean?
projections, huge projections, and
Multiple
all that kind of
projectors.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a question of trade-offs now at this point.
Right, right, because you've only got so much space.
But it's really not about the games. Let me just say that with my final comment, like what we're learning, it's really about your relationship with your customers and making them happy, and that's what I'm learning as I go along. It really isn't about whether we have GoldenEye or not.
Right.
It's about whether you take time to go talk to the people, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We bring something out of that, they get something out of that.
For sure. I think that's very well said. Thank you so much for coming down.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
we
on-
really
yeah.
appreciate it.
No worries. Two
Yeah.
great years and many more to come, I'm sure. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
That was Wayne Joyce from Forever Gaming in the Valley Mall. You need to get your friends, your family, whoever, go by yourself. Get down there, have some fun. We'll be right back to wrap this episode up. Stay tuned. And that's it for today's episode. I want to thank Adam Groh, the Cash Cab guy, for taking a few minutes to talk to us. Go get your tickets right now. Corner Brook, Grand Falls, St. John's. There's an amazing show coming to you next week. www.tickettide.ca. As well, big thanks to Wayne Joyce from Forever Gaming for telling us about his exciting establishment down in the Valley Mall, which I hope you check out soon. That's it for today's episode. We'll be back next Tuesday with another West Talk. See you then.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
This is Rogers TV.
Was that 4 or 5? He's lost count and still thinks he can drive. Do you think he knows that when he is caught and charged with impaired driving, he'll lose his license and a lot more? If he gets in his car, he'll face costs exceeding $20,000. Does he realize he could have a criminal record for his choice to drive? And it could be much worse if he crashes. Wonder what he'll be thinking tomorrow.
Have a Holden one at 15.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
What would the world be without a bone marrow burger? Or if you couldn't track down the best taco truck surfers? Or never knew Worcestershire sauces and tikka masala could tick all your boxes? What if you'd missed the fried chicken with kimchi and it never melted firsthand for the pierogi grilled cheese? It's so good. Where would you go and what would you try if you didn't get the best tips from the tippiest guy? You're welcome.
All new Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, Friday night at 9 on Food Network.
This is Rogers TV.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis